Hey, somebody needs to sift the flour. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. I thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by the exciting team at wisdomharbor.com. For less than $3 a month, you have access to original content only found on wisdomharbor.com that will serve as a relationship connector for families and schools by way of education and entertainment. Dave Ramsey says it's also great for your business and your teams. They utilize video, audio, and the written word. Content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, master chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. So check it out today. Join your friends and neighbors who are already part of wisdomharbor.com. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both observations and answers. And we have a guest like that today. We have a major star as our guest. And I am just, I can't tell you, I'm like a little fan child here. I'm so excited about this, and I'm sure you probably know who she is. She has like 20 million Facebook subscribers and a million YouTube subscribers. People love her, and you will love her. Please welcome Brenda Gantt, America's favorite Southern cook. Brenda, hey, how are you?
I'm great today. How is everybody out there in Facebook land?
We're all good. We're all good. Now, you know, I've heard you called America's favorite Southern cook, but the way people talk about you, you might be America's favorite cook.
Well, that's what they say. I tell you, I'm everybody's grandmother. There are so many people that write in and they say, oh, you're just like the grandmother I never had, or I was young when she passed away, or whatever. So I'm everybody's, they call me Big Mama. My grandchildren do, but I'm kind of like a grandmother to people, and I'm cooking the old time way with biscuits in a bowl and dumplings and homemade dressing, that kind of thing.
I know. I've watched your dressing recipe and several other things that you've done, and you do cook in a way that my mom and my grandmom cooked, but it's not anything that I can copy. It's like, you were doing the dressing thing, just put some cornmeal in. I don't know how much, just put this much. Like, I don't know that I can duplicate that, Brenda.
Well, here's the thing. If every time you cook, you have to get out a measuring cup, it takes the joy out of cooking. And so I want to teach people how to cook without all this measuring all the time. Now, if you're making a cake, certain kind of cookie, I can see why you would measure. But when you're cooking everyday food, you do not need a recipe book or a recipe.
Well,
and that's what I'm trying to show.
It's actually a good thing we don't need a recipe book, because all yours are sold out.
That's true.
I
told everybody I said, now y'all need to pre-order. You need to pre-order. And I don't think they believed me, but I know they believe me now.
They'll believe you next time, won't they?
They will.
Wow. Hey, where did you get started doing this? Because you like sprang onto the scene.
I did, didn't I? Here's what happened. I know you know what a millennial is.
Yes, ma'am.
And those kind of 30-year-olds, young 40s, 30 right there. Well, they didn't grow up like we grew up, so therefore they can't cook without a recipe. So some millennial guys came up to me at church and said, would you please do a cooking class. We're going to pay you, and we're going to send our wives to your class.
Send our wives, yeah.
So I said, look, y'all, I don't have time for that. So what I did do, though, I had my own little personal Facebook page, Brenda Gantt, just my own little personal. And one day at lunch, I decided that I was going to make biscuits for my family. And I said, I don't know why I don't just hold my phone up and have my bowl down here, and I'm going to show them how to make biscuits. And then they'll see this video and they'll quit bothering me. And when I did that, within 2 weeks, it would hit 1 million views. And so that's what started it. But what really started it is that God opened the door. And when he opens it, you better step in. But sometimes he'll close the door and you just issue yourself right on out.
And so now instead of several millennials bugging you, you have several million people. And I'm amazed at how your show it's not as much cooking as it is being loved. I mean, it's like being loved by you, if that makes any sense. And
it does.
And so what do you hope your audience, when you go into doing these, what do you hope your audience gets from this?
What I hope that my audience gets from this is that I am really trying to help. I want to help them. I want them to feel good in their kitchens. I want them to be successful at cooking for their families. I think that mealtime is so important. To gather around your table and to eat together something good. It could just be a soup or a chili, but that's important to me. And I want them to see that they were going to mess up from time to time, and that's okay too. And I want them to see that if you don't have something in your kitchen that this recipe is calling for, then use something else, substitute. And so I really want to help them. There's a lot of people who have gorgeous kitchens. Mine just a little bitty kitchen, but some people have beautiful kitchens with big islands of marble and granite, and they don't even use their stove. And I don't want this. I want them to use their kitchen and be the queen of their kitchen, or king, whichever the case may be.
Well, now you say that if you don't have it, you should substitute.
That's right. Like the other day, chicken salad.
Okay.
And I was going to put some apples and pecans and celery in mine, and I was going to do all that. Well, if I didn't have an apple, I could put a pear. I could put nothing. I could open a can of pineapple. You could put in a chicken salad anything you want to put in it. You could put some broccoli heads. So this is what I'm saying, and a lot of my followers are actually doing that, and they're using what they have. And in my newest cookbook, I said that to use what you have, do something what you've got.
I'm kind of with the millennials about maybe getting my wife with you, because we still talk at our house about the Saturday morning. Our boys are 23 and 20 now, but they were like, 10 and 7 or 8. And they still talk about the Saturday morning that Polly didn't have something to make the pancakes, and so she put grits in it. And according to the boys, those were the worst pancakes they had ever had. And so you can't just substitute anything.
No, you cannot. I agree with that. But hey, if sometimes when you substitute, you create a new recipe that's better than the one that you had.
Right.
I've done it too. I mean, it's not all bad. Substitution is good.
What's your favorite recipe? You've hung your hat on the biscuits, I think. Everybody wants to know how to make your biscuits. But what is your favorite?
Favorite to eat?
Favorite to cook and favorite to eat?
I really like chicken and dumplings. I make homemade dumplings. I boil the chicken a long time, and it's a soul food. It really, it makes you feel good all over to eat a bowl of chicken and dumplings.
You know,
And
that is my favorite food.
I love it too.
I'm just telling you, and I have to cook it in my family. But I do the chicken like I boil it and then I put it in the oven overnight just to let get it real chickeny,
Yeah.
But I do the dumplings out of, from scratch, just like my May taught me to do it.
Yeah. And they're so good. I love chicken and dumplings. And then I'm not a picky eater at all. I eat all kinds of pies and cakes, and I like fried chicken. I like liver. I like chicken gizzards. So I'm not picky. The only thing that I really don't like, that I've tried to like, but I just really don't like it, is olives. And my son is the only person in our family that likes olives. So I would buy him that big, skinny jar and put it in the refrigerator for him. And he just ate right out of the jar because nobody else was going to eat them anyway. We didn't like them, but he did for some reason.
My wife likes those too. I'm surprised she didn't put olives in the pancakes. So,
well, she could have put it in her chicken salad.
Yeah, and she does. She makes chicken salad. So, So what, like your show is kind of a hybrid thing of love and food, and your cookbooks are very different too, because they're almost more like a regular book than a recipe book.
Well,
how did that evolve? How did you start doing?
Okay. Well, when I make a cookbook, it is, I'm focusing on my grandchildren and my children after them that I'll never see, my great grandchildren or whatever, for future generations. And what I'm doing is try not to let the stories and the old time recipes get lost. I mean, you see all kind of fancy casseroles nowadays, and they're delicious. But we need to know the basics, like a good cornbread, a good dumpling, a good biscuit, a good pancake. All those things need to be saved. And so when I wrote the book, I kept my grandchildren in mind, and my grandchildren's children that they will have one day. And I wanted them to know the stories. I think that every family has great stories, just like you're telling about the pancakes and her putting grits in it. Well, see, that is a story that does not need to be lost. It needs to be written down somewhere. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm writing our stories.
I think that is so awesome. I tell young parents a lot, write something.
That's right.
My parents died when I was 19, and I don't have anything that my dad wrote. And so, there's so many things that I don't know, because I guess when you're 19, you didn't care. I have no idea if my parents were Democrats or Republicans. I don't know what their favorite songs were. I don't know what their favorite books were. So
you see then why I did it then.
Yeah.
And I also put advice in there. It's gotten to where in America, men don't even take off their hats anymore when they go in restaurants. They wear them continually. So I put some etiquette in there, and I put some do's and don'ts. I've got a whole list of what to do at the table and what not to do at the table, and just different things like that. And how important it is to put the phone up when you're having your conversation at the table, and to linger there at the table. So anyway, those are important to me. And our influence only lasts 3 generations. So if we're not influencing our children well, then they can't influence their children well. So it's a carry-on thing. And so I think that's important too.
I agree. And our boys, they learned early about the hats, and in a restaurant inside, and at the hunting camp we go to, the men will tell you, take your hat off. And so, do you have any of the old the poems in there about the manners, like Brenda, strong and able, get your elbows off the table? Do you remember that?
That sure is cute. I've never heard that before.
So where
of it, but I didn't have that cute poem to go with it.
well, there's a lot of those. And my wife says I've been cursed to remember everything I've ever heard in my life. I can tell my family a joke, and if it's a corny one, the boys will look at me and go, "Okay, Dad, where'd you hear that?" And I said, "Fifth grade on the playground at Hurd Elementary in Dothan, Alabama." So I just remember that stuff. So why, you've talked about family a lot. You've talked about your grandchildren. Was that instilled in you, a love for family, or did you? Why is family so important to you?
Well, let me think.
I think I know the answer, but I want to hear you say it.
Yeah, there's nothing physical it's not the physical that binds us together. It's spiritual, and it's being raised up with them when they're babies, and you're watching them grow. And I don't know, but I'm very close to my family. I love them so much. The grandchildren, the children, and their spouses become part of me too.
Right.
Whoever our children chose for their mate. Well, those grandchildren have that gene plus the other gene. So they're part of both. And
Right.
it's important to me for us to have family. And I know that if something happens, they'd see about me, and I see about them when I can. So it's somebody you can always call on.
Having watched you and listened to you, I think that I think you're doing an awesome thing for our country. I think that you are a great connector for relationships. I see a lot of parents and children that don't, and the parents wonder why they don't have that great of a relationship with their kids. Or I talk to older parents who don't have a great relationship with their adult children. And I think there was something that happened a couple of generations ago, because, when you and I grew up, Brenda, we wanted to be at the big table. We wanted to be with the adults. And our parents would tell us, "Hey, okay, you can sit here, but you got to be quiet. And if we hear from you, you're going to bed." And my sister and I we would listen to them talk, and sometimes at some point we'd kind of look at each other and we think they have forgotten we're here, because we're hearing things we don't normally hear. And there was, in the trips in the car, we would sit in the back seat and either talk with our parents, or we'd listen to our parents talk, or we'd listen to our dad talk to his friends, or mom talk to her friends. And something happened a couple of generations ago when it turned into, okay, I've put the kids in the playroom and I've told them to watch that movie, and if they come out, they're going to bed. Or, we get in the car and we got them in the back seat and we put the headphones on them and turn your screen on. And so we've got a couple of generations that have grown up without listening to conversations.
You're exactly right. And it's getting worse. I have been in a room before where you had two kids sitting in there and they were texting each other instead of talking to each other. And so the art of communication is being lost because of that. And it's just so important. Children they need to learn to talk with adults and be comfortable around adults, and to be a good listener when adults are talking, and they don't have that anymore. And then that generation that I'm telling you about, the millennials, what happened to many of them, it's not that they don't want to cook. It's just that they haven't had an opportunity to learn. And so many of them said their mothers shushed them out of the kitchen, like she'd be busy, or maybe that's when mama started working outside the home, and she was trying to get supper done. And so she'd make them say, y'all go out and play. I'm doing my, I'm trying to get supper done. So therefore the children didn't learn how to cook or communicate with their mama or any of that during that time. And you're right. The communication skills are going down.
Well, I think that with shows like yours, and I hope I'm having some impact on that by talking about it and trying to give parents and kids something that they can enjoy watching together. Because
That's
that's another thing. When we grew up, there were shows that we could both enjoy. But now, you don't really want to watch these kids shows, and then sometimes you can't have them in the room when you're watching something. Even the commercials are crazy. So
that's right. I will tell you this, something that really blessed my heart. There are a lot of children. Now, when I say children, I'm talking about from maybe 6 years old up that are cooking with me on my videos. And the children will even tell their mama, that's not how Miss Brenda does it. Say that to them because they're watching and they're making biscuits, they're doing all this stuff, and it just blesses my heart so much to know that I'm making a difference in the lives of children. And the other day I did a little video and I had shown the children a spider, and outside he had his web. It was a big, beautiful spider, and I was talking to the kids about the spider having 8 legs and stuff like that. Well, I told the mothers and grandmothers, I said, y'all need to sit your children down, let them watch this, and then let them draw a spider. Well, the other day I got a letter, and it was a picture of a spider that a little boy had drawn. And so I just, I think it's great. And the kids will say, can I watch Miss Brenda on Facebook? And the mom will say, you can watch her, because they know I'm not going to come out with some kind of cussing or ugly talk, and that anybody can listen to my show or watch it.
How much does your faith guide your life, Brenda?
Completely. I fall short just like everybody else does, and I'm a sinner just like everybody else is. But my one staple in my life of all the stuff, there's so many things that can go haywire, is Jesus. And he never changes. He's always the same, and he's always there to help me. No, even though I'm not perfect, he loves me anyway. So that's my staple in life.
Well, we love you too. We love you too. I think you're not only America's favorite Southern cook, I think you're America's favorite Southern sweetheart. So we do love you, and we appreciate so much you being with us. We're going to have where people can connect with you on the show notes, but why don't you tell us how's the best way to connect with you?
All right, here's something I need for them to. You go to Facebook,
right,
and under Cooking with Brenda Gantt, and you will see my official mark, which is a blue circle with a little white check mark in it. And that's my official site. But there's about 38 scammers on there that will put my video on, and it's not mine. So if you write in on that one, I don't ever see what you write because you're on a fake page. And so it's really important that y'all get on the right page. And so it's Cooking with Brenda Gantt. And you'll also see that I have over 3 million followers. So when you see that, you'll know that you're on the right one. If it's got 85,000 followers, that's not me, because they're all that 85,000 is watching a fake site.
That 85,000, that's just nothing.
Well, that's just one of the fake stations.
Oh my gosh.
Over 3 million on mine.
I'm hoping one day I can be famous enough that I'll have 38 people try to impersonate me. I think it's like you and Elvis have more impersonators.
I mean, I got a lot. You'll be seeing me, but it's not my show.
Right.
They just stole my video. How they do that, I'll never know, but they do.
Well, we'll make sure
Good.
we'll make sure we're on the millions site.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, thank you for being with us so much. And one more question. You've had several guests on your show. Who is your favorite guest that you've had?
My granddaughter, little Banksy.
Okay, good. I'm glad you didn't say Mark Lowry because Mark has been bragging to me.
He's a hoot now. He is a hoot. But I enjoy cooking my grandchildren. The two that like to cook the most are my grandson, William, and I like to cook with him, and then Banks. The others are so busy, they don't want to have time to do anything.
Yeah.
They're teenagers.
I hear
But
you.
Mark, Mark, he came here and I had him make a pie with me, and he got it made. But
he got it made. Mark is a lunatic. Just warning you. So he's like my favorite lunatic though. So I love Mark, and thank you for being with us. Yeah, thank you, Brenda, for being with us.
Much. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of the Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme, written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Catnip recipes for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional funding provided by secretmanuscript.edu. Have you ever read a book and marveled at how effortlessly the author's words appeared to flow? Have you ever wondered if famous authors are as smart as they seem? Let secretmanuscripts.edu answer that question for you. No, they are not. And at secretmanuscripts.edu, we provide the proof. Secretmanuscripts.edu began as a cross-cultural research project shared by several colleges and universities. Their charge was to find and collect first and second drafts of books that later became well known. As success piled upon success, one thing became glaringly apparent. Our most celebrated authors might have a better imagination, but they can't actually write better than any of the rest of us. Log on to secretmanuscripts.edu and peruse the first draft of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. We counted more than 600 times that Fitzgerald ended a sentence with a preposition. See how many you can find. In the second draft of Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger misspells the word absent 21 times, the word calendar 8 times, and oddly enough, it wasn't until halfway through this second draft that Salinger began spelling rye, R-Y-E, instead of R-I. Secretmanuscripts.edu also highlights a section on working titles. These titles were chosen by the authors before their publisher intervened. It's all documented. Harper Lee wanted To Kill a Blue Jay. Herman Melville wrote 3 drafts of his classic with the whale named Moby Frank. Ernest Hemingway pushed hard for The Sun Is Also Hot. Margaret Mitchell almost lost her publishing contract over the fight for the book's title. She had desperately wanted Gone with the Thunderstorm. And then there's Mark Twain, who was stopped with the threat of legal action from naming his classic The Adventures of Huckleberry Ramirez. You'll find these stories and more at secretmanuscripts.edu.